Welcome back to the series where we debunk myths about certain fighters. And today we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua, and we're going to talk about the myth surrounding his chin. And that myth is that Anthony Joshua has a glass chin. So this one, I've been wanting to talk about for a while just because, everyone sort of, I don't know, this term of someone having a glass chin is sort of nonsensical in my eyes when it comes to certain fighters, right? A lot of people say that, even that Lomachenko had a glass chin because they were saying, oh, he got rocked by Jorge Linares, he got dropped. Okay, well, Jorge Linares was a hard puncher in his prime, you know what I mean? And, right, that was a shot that landed flush on the chin, right? And Loma got up and he finished the fight. So, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, this idea, like, people kind of overuse that term, glass chin. And it's especially with Anthony Joshua. Obviously, when people think of Anthony Joshua nowadays, they always think of him having a glass chin, right? And, they say that he can't take a punch well, he's weak hearted, right? That, it's all this stuff. Okay, now here's the thing. Does Anthony Joshua have the best chin? No, he doesn't, right? Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, his chin is not great, in my opinion, but it's not also terrible. And what I mean by that is that when Anthony Joshua, and I've said this before, but when Anthony Joshua can see a punch coming directly at him, I think that he can take it fairly well, in my opinion, right? However, when he doesn't see the punch coming, that's when he gets rocked badly, right? Um, and, that's when he has a hard time recovering. He can recover, but it just takes him a while. So, I don't know. His chin, that's sort of like his chin explained, right? And it's one of those things, like, he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't have necessarily a great chin or this like iron chin, but to say he has a glass chin is just, I don't know, silly in my eyes. So that's that. I want to delve into this further by comparing him to a fighter who everyone considers to have an iron chin, right? And that would be Tyson Fury. Now, does Tyson Fury have a better chin than Anthony Joshua? In my opinion, yes, slightly, right? I mean, it's a bit complicated because when you see Tyson Fury, a lot of people say, "Oh, Wilder knocked him down 12 times, or not 12 times, excuse me, 4 times, right? He knocked him down 4 times, and you know what I mean? It's like, oh, he got knocked down 4 times, but he got back up every single time and won the fights and all that stuff." However, people don't realize that when Wilder did drop Tyson Fury, he landed on Tyson Fury's skull, right? And I've already stated this before, that getting dropped or getting hit on the skull and the chin are two different things in my opinion. When you take a shot to the forehead or just on top of the head, you can take it in a bit better than on the chin in most cases, right? So, that's sort of why, this idea that Tyson Fury has the best, that this idea that Tyson Fury has the best chin ever is, I don't know, a bit of a false narrative, in my opinion, right? Like I said, I'm not saying Tyson Fury has a bad chin. He certainly doesn't. But when we compare Tyson Fury's chin to Anthony Joshua's chin, they're pretty similar in terms of, like, their overall, like, how they can absorb punches, right? And I'll explain why. So let's look at the times that Anthony Joshua's been rocked, and let's look at the times that Tyson Fury's been rocked. So, Anthony Joshua. Dylan White got rocked. Vladimir Klitschko got rocked and knocked down. Alexander Povetkin got stunned momentarily. Andy Ruiz Jr. got rocked, dropped 4 times, and eventually stopped. And lastly, Alexander Usyk got rocked in the 3rd round of their fight and the 12th round of their fight as well. Okay, now let's look at the guys Tyson Fury's been rocked by. John McDermott was able to rock Tyson Fury throughout their whole fight, right? Nevin Paicik was able to knock down Tyson Fury. Steve Cunningham was able to knock down Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder was able to rock Tyson Fury, knock him down multiple times in all 3 of their fights, right? Their first fight and their 3rd fight. Vladimir Klitschko. Yes, I say Vladimir Klitschko because when you look at the 12th round, he did get stunned in that fight, right? I don't care what anyone said, he did get stunned in that 12th round. You can even see Tyson Fury after the fight breathing heavily, right? Like he had just gone to war with Klitschko, all right? And another guy, Otto Wallen, got rocked in the 12th round of their fight as well. I know that was due to mostly being a cut, but he still got rocked regardless, right? And lastly, Derek Chisora was able to rock them in their first fight. Okay, so Anthony Joshua, that's 5 guys he's been rocked by, whereas Tyson Fury, that's 7 guys he's been rocked by. Now, let's go back to Anthony Joshua and discuss the times he's been rocked. Okay, Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is known for being a hard puncher with that left hook, right? I know he gave not that great of a performance against Tyson Fury last Saturday, right? I'm aware of that. You know what I mean? A lot of people felt like he didn't do that well. I made a video about it, all that stuff, right? But you can't deny the power in his left hook, right? And when he fought Anthony Joshua, I'm not saying that version of Dillian Whyte would have beaten Tyson Fury, but I'm saying that was a much more aggressive fighter, right? And one who was like on point and overall had, I don't know, more energy in that fight, in my opinion, right? And he rocked Anthony Joshua, but Anthony Joshua was able to come back from that left hook, and he was able to, land some shots in that same round against Dillian Whyte, so he recovered fairly well. So Anthony Joshua has a glass shin because he didn't get knocked down by that shot, and he was able to come back later and knock out Dillian Whyte in the 7th round. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, if he had a glass shin, he would have... I mean, you look at the guys Dillian Whyte's knocked out. Lucas Brown, you know what I mean? Derek Chisora, right? Was able to knock down Joseph Parker, right? Alexander Povetkin knocked him out, even if he was... or TKO'd him anyway, even if he was on the older side, right? And same goes with other fighters he's, flatlined, right? So Joshua has a glass shin because, he didn't get knocked down like those guys did. I mean, that, like I said, it's just nonsensical. It's a myth, right? That he has a glass shin. You know what I mean? He got rocked for a couple seconds, and then he came back and dominated, right? Okay, Vladimir Klitschko. So Vladimir Klitschko, we know, I mean, he was a former world champion at the time, right? Was known for being one of the hardest punchers in the heavyweight division, right? Should be at least a top 50, hardest punchers of all time, right? Had a hard right hand, had a hard left hook, especially a hard gazelle left hook, or leaping left hook anyway, right? And arguably hit harder than his big brother, Vitaly Klitschko. So when Vladimir Klitschko fought Anthony Joshua, even if he was out of his prime, he still gave Anthony Joshua one of his best fights in his entire career. I'm not saying that was, Klitschko's best performance. I'm aware that he was out of his prime and 2 years inactive and all that stuff. But in my opinion, he did look really well, or he looked really good in that fight and gave Joshua, arguably, like I said, one of his toughest fights. And, we know that Vladimir Klitschko's hardest punch was the right hand. You know what I mean? Aside from the left hook as well. So Anthony Joshua in that fight was 3.5 years inexperienced. He made the mistake of trying to finish Vladimir Klitschko and ultimately paid the price by, gassing out or just burning his arms out and got tired later in that round. That's when Vladimir Klitschko was landing his big punches, and in the following round he knocked Anthony Joshua down with that right hand of his, and Anthony Joshua got back up. Okay, so here's the thing. Joshua, like I said, 3.5 years inexperienced at the time, right? Was mainly due to him fatiguing and him not knowing how to compose himself, right? He later took, a lot of big shots. Some of Klitschko's hardest punches in that same round, as well as the follow-up round, got knocked down once with Klitschko's hardest punch, or one of his anyway, right? Came back up and forced a stoppage later on. I mean, we know Klitschko's a knockout artist, right? He's knocked out multiple guys and knocked down multiple guys, right? So if Anthony Josh had a glass shin, he would have got flat. He would have been knocked out cold by Vladimir Klitschko, right? He would have been like, if he had a glass shin, it would have been like Canelo knocking out Amir Khan, right? That's what would have happened if he had a glass shin. You know what I mean? So this idea that Klitschko, I don't know, he exposed Anthony Joshua's chin doesn't make sense in my opinion, right? Anyway, we move on. So Alexander Povetkin. Okay, Alexander Povetkin, like I said, former world champion as well. Former WBA world champion, right? Had power, right? Maybe not as much as Vladimir Klitschko, but still had power with his hooks and uppercuts in the pocket, right? Knocked out guys like Dylan White, you know what I mean? Hasim Rahman, even if it wasn't out of prime, Hasim Rahman, right? Stopped Marzius Rock, right? Was able to knock down other fighters in his career. And that was that, you know what I mean? His only loss at the time was to Vladimir Klitschko, right? Um, you know what I mean? He also knocked out Carlos Takam as well. So, here's the thing. If Joshua had a glass shin, he would have taken that uppercut and been knocked out cold like Dylan White. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't have got up and all that stuff. Yet he kept moving forward in that fight. And he got rocked for what? 1.5 seconds, and that was it. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Right? It was like for only barely a second. Barely a second and a half, and that was it. Right? So, you know, that's like I said, if he had a glass shin, he would have been knocked out cold like Dylan White when he took that shot, right? But he didn't, so that's debunked. Okay, Andy Ruiz Jr., another one. Andy Ruiz Jr. is look, I'll admit, not the best fighter in the division, but when Anthony Joshua fought Andy Ruiz Jr., he just made this mistake of going into Ruiz's range and trying to wind up this big left hook in the pocket. And Ruiz capitalized on that by countering with his own left hook and landing right on the nerve, right on the button. And here's the thing. Anyone who gets hit on the button can get rocked, right? And for example, look, I've sparred guys who punch hard, and I've seen their punches come directly at me, and I've been able to take their punches fairly well, right? However, when I did fight this one guy, or spar this one guy, he was able to create an angle on me where I couldn't, see where he was punching from, and he was able to land like a cross right on my chin, and that shot buzzed me, right? More than like harder punches or harder punching sparring partners that I've faced, right? So yes, you can, if it lands right on the button, you can get stunned, and that's what happened in the Joshua fight. So when Joshua says that was a lucky punch, right? He's not just saying that just for, you know what I mean, like just cause, right, to make an excuse. He said it because it's true. Like, Ruiz isn't the hardest puncher. He just landed right on the nerve. And he showed that he's levels above Ruiz. He schooled him in the rematch. So, there you go. And it's not like Joshua got KO'd in that fight. He got knocked down 4 times, and that was it. Right? And, until the fight was over. He kept getting up from those knockdowns, and that was that. Okay, now we move on to Alexander Usyk. So, Alexander Usyk, you can see, is a pound-for-pound great. He's pound-for-pound number 2, just next, or just under Canelo Alvarez, in terms of most people's pound-for-pound rankings, right? And Usyk is not known for his power. He's not the hardest puncher. I agree with that. But he has incredible timing, incredible volume punching, and is a very technical and precise fighter. And he was able to land directly on Anthony Joshua's chin, right on the button, right? Just like Ruiz did. But Anthony Joshua didn't go down. So he has a glass chin because he didn't get knocked down by Alexander Usyk. Like I said, that doesn't make sense to me either, right? And Usyk's rocked guys like Chisora, Bellew, multiple other fighters in the past. So this idea that he has a glass chin just because he got rocked twice in their fight but didn't get KO'd is silly in my eyes, right? Anyway, the point is, you compare that to Tyson Fury. Look, Anthony Joshua, the time he has been rocked, were either against former world champions, high-level contenders, or, champions at the time, right? Versus Tyson Fury, who got rocked by 2 world champions at the time. And the other guys he's been rocked by, Chisora, not a world champion. Nevin Pajcik, not a world champion. Cunningham, not a world champion. John McDermott, not a world champion, right? None of those guys were world champions, yet they were able to rock Tyson Fury, right? So Anthony Joshua has a glass chin because he didn't get rocked by any guys who were low-level opposition, but Tyson Fury did. Like I said, it's a myth, it's debunked, and that's that, right? No, I'm not saying Fury has a glass chin, but I'm just saying to say Fury's chin is levels above AJ's, and that AJ has a glass chin is ridiculous in my eyes, but yeah, that's that. Anyway, this video is going on for too long, but you guys get the point. The myth is debunked. Anthony Joshua doesn't have a glass chin. Does he have the best chin in the division? No, he doesn't. But does he have the worst? Absolutely not, right? And that's that. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Take care and peace.